The garden doesn't grow in straight lines. If you have ever planted anything, a vegetable bed, a flower border, even a single pot on a windowsill, you know this already. Some seeds come up exactly where you planted them, exactly when the packet said they would. Others don't come up at all. And every so often something grows in a spot you never planted anything. A volunteer, blown in by wind or bird, thriving in soil you didn't even prepare for it. Welcome to Phase 3. Welcome. Whether you have been with us since Phase 1, walked through the honest grief of Phase 2 with us, or are just discovering this channel today, we are so glad you are here. For those just finding us, this is the Silver Sanctuary, a place for believers navigating the retirement years with intention, scripture, and honest conversation. We have walked through Dr. Riley Moynes' 4 phases of retirement. Phase 1, the vacation, and Phase 2, feeling the loss. If you haven't seen those series yet, we'd encourage you to start there. Links are in the description below. Today we begin Phase 3, and it feels different from the moment we start talking about it. You'll hear that in our voice today. There's an energy here that Phase 1 and Phase 2 didn't quite have. Before we go further, if this channel has been meaningful to you, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Give this video a like if it encourages you, and leave a comment. We read every single one. Dr. Riley Moynes calls Phase 3 trial and error. And the name is doing exactly what it should. It tells you the truth about what this season is before you even begin. It is not Phase 4's settled reinvention with its clear sense of purpose and legacy. It is the messy, exploratory, sometimes awkward middle ground between knowing you need something new and actually finding it. Both words in that name matter. Trial. The willingness to attempt something without certainty of outcome. And error. The honest acknowledgement that some of what you try will not work. Not because you did it wrong, but because that is simply how discernment happens. You cannot think your way into knowing what your reinvention looks like. You have to try your way into it. This is genuinely different from what you needed in Phase 1 and Phase 2. Phase 1 asked you to rest with intention. Phase 2 asked you to grieve with honesty and sit still long enough to let God do quiet work beneath the surface. Phase 3 asks something else entirely. It asks you to move, to step out, to try things, the plural, most of which will teach you something even when they don't become permanent. And here is something important. Phase 3 is not a phase you graduate from quickly. For many retirees, it lasts months. For some, a year or more. It is not a failure if your first 3 attempts at finding your reinvention don't stick. That is not a sign you are doing retirement wrong. That is Phase 3 working exactly as it is designed to. Phase 2 taught us to be still and know. Phase 3 asks us to be still and move, to carry the inner knowing that Phase 2 produced out into the world and tested against reality. This is genuinely the part of the journey where faith stops being primarily reflective and becomes primarily active. Ecclesiastes 11:6, sow your seed in the morning, and at evening let your hands not be idle, for you do not know which will succeed, whether this or that, or whether both will do equally well. Notice what this verse does not say. It does not say, figure out in advance which seed will succeed and only plant that one. It assumes uncertainty. It assumes you will not know the outcome before you act, and it commands action anyway. Sow in the morning and don't let your hands be idle in the evening. Plant more than one thing. Try more than one direction. Let the outcomes, not your predictions, tell you what is working. This is remarkably freeing if you let it be. Phase 3 does not require you to know in advance what your reinvention looks like. It only requires the willingness to sow, to try the volunteer opportunity, to take the class, to start the small project, to have the conversation, without demanding certainty first. Matthew 14:28 and 29. Peter on the water. Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water. Come, he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. What strikes us most about this passage is not that Peter eventually sank, though he did, and we will talk honestly about that kind of moment in Wednesday's video. What strikes us is that Peter got out of the boat at all. He stepped into genuine uncertainty, onto something that should not have been able to hold his weight, because Jesus said, come. Phase 3 is full of these moments, stepping into something uncertain because you sense, even faintly, that God is inviting you toward it. The boat, in this metaphor, is comfort, certainty, the safety of staying exactly where you are. Phase 3 is the invitation to get out of the boat, not recklessly, not without prayer and discernment, but genuinely, faithfully, trusting that the same Christ who called Peter out onto the water is the one calling you toward whatever experiment is in front of you right now. This week, we are going to walk through Phase 3 together in 3 parts. On Monday, we're talking about holy experiments. Why trying new things in this season is a spiritual practice, not just a practical one. We will look at Abraham, who left his home without knowing where he was going, and what it means to step out in faith before you have the full picture. On Wednesday, we are having one of the most honest conversations of this entire series. What happens when the experiment doesn't work? The volunteer role that wasn't a fit, the hobby that fizzled, the venture that quietly fell apart. We will talk about Peter sinking into the water and what grace looks like when an attempt fails. And on Friday, we will talk about discernment. How to recognize when one of your Phase 3 experiments is becoming something more. The signs that an attempt is turning into a calling. How peace, fruitfulness, and sustained joy point toward what God may be confirming as your Phase 4. The garden doesn't grow in straight lines, and neither does this season of your life. Some of what you try in Phase 3 will flourish exactly where you planted it. Some won't come up at all, and every so often, something unexpected will grow in a place you never planned. A volunteer seed of calling, carried in by something only God could have placed there. Philippians 3:13 and 14. Forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal. That is the posture of Phase 3. Not looking back at Phase 2's grief with regret, not demanding certainty before you move, but straining forward, pressing on, trying, sowing, stepping out of the boat. Leave a comment below and tell us, What is one thing you have been wanting to try in this season but haven't yet? It can be small. It can feel silly. Tell us anyway. Sometimes naming it out loud is the first step towards sowing the seed. If this video encouraged you, give it a like and share it with someone entering this season. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. Monday, we are diving into holy experiments, and it is one of the most practically useful videos we have made yet. Until Monday, keep cultivating your garden, even the messy parts, especially the messy parts God bless.